So I played a little bit more of that Expedition 33.
Yeah, so have I.
And
lots of thoughts.
I ran into. So I remember there was like a little interview a little while ago where the director was like, "These are my favorite games," and he listed out a bunch of games, and I did not know how literally we should have taken that list of games because that was a blueprint.
Yes. Straightforward. Like there's
I like the FF8 and the Dark Soul and the Devil May Cry.
We are
very good game.
We are not mincing words. We are wearing our hearts on our sleeves with what we love. It's very, very obvious. So quick, let me touch my tongue to the wind, to my finger.
Yeah.
Hold it up here. Where are you?
I beat the first act.
Okay.
And then after the first act, I ran around for 10 minutes.
Okay.
Pushing buttons.
Okay.
Going, is this really what I fucking think it is? Are you fucking serious with me right now on this? Are you fucking my ass on this?
Yeah. Okay. All right. There we go. So you are.
That is ridiculous.
So you tested the waters on Act 2 a little bit.
I tested the waters. And I remember going into the menu and I'm like, surely this does not, like, because I go to the menu first before I go and try it out. And I'm reading descriptions. And I'm like, this reads familiar, but it can't actually mean what I'm reading here.
Yeah. So the fun stuff that this game is doing, and we're going to still, it's still really new, and we're going to still talk around things for people that are going
well, unlike someone in my Doom fucking stream last night. I had to edit the VOD around that. Yeah.
Big spoils.
Totally unrelated game stream. Someone came in at midnight and was like, "Hey man, sorry I was being annoying during the Expedition 33 stream. I just didn't want you to have all the silly costumes on during incredibly clear description of blah 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 blah."
Okay, so complete.
And I read it out without thinking because I was like, it's like 11 p.m. and I'm tired. And then I was like, fuck, shit.
Complete.
Then I had to go cut all the videos and delete VODs and shit.
Yeah. Shitbag move. There you go.
People have been like insane about this game in terms of like spoiler content. It has been like one of the worst I've seen ever.
So I'm being particularly careful and stuff because like it's one of these like that from the moment you start it, it's an Attack on Titan style setup where you're like, we know there's a problem, we don't know why or what's going on. So everything you're doing is discovering more about the problem in the world and whatever it is. Everything is new, you know? But to that end, that's fine. I can say this. There's a whole lot we can talk about that's just mechanics based, right?
Yeah, so like
and systems based.
This game, you think it's about French ennui and getting older, and what it's actually about is turning that teenager into a super weapon that can destroy all.
Yeah. Make her a nuke. So yeah, I'm not in Act 3 yet, so I'm still working my way through. But I've made some good progress, and I'm chipping away at some really hard challenges. The absolute like straightforward, okay, we're not gonna mess around, this is what we're referencing, continues, right? Like they are very, very blatant about that.
I couldn't believe how overt it has been. Like every character is like, you know what game's really cool?
Yeah.
This one.
So for me, there's oftentimes the way tutorials work in this is like you get into a fight and then like it goes like, hey, or you pick someone up or something and it's like, hey, do you want to do a tutorial or so? But in this case, it works in a way where you have a good chance to like go through the menus and like examine a whole bunch of stuff about a new character before you get into a fight to actually use them.
Yeah.
So I see a mechanic called perfection, and I'm just like.
And then I read there's like one of the descriptions on the skill tree references you cannot drop lower than this.
Yes.
And I was staring at it and going, what, that can't mean what I fucking think it means.
Yeah.
That would be Nonsense. How would that even integrate into this? Oh, and then I turn into fucking what is it, Captain Knuckles with the dog doing a backflip. Just,
Oh, I sure hope you've been getting good at the game's mechanics and what it's been trying to do, because
so I have a problem with that. I have a real problem with that.
I have one I want to get to too as well, actually. Interesting. Let's hear yours.
So the game has, so many games have a difficulty curve, which starts off easy and gets hard. Other games have, like the Witcher series and Cyberpunk, have reverse difficulty curves, in which the very beginning is like the orders of magnitude harder, and then as you get your kit, you're just like, oh, there's nothing that can touch me. This game has both. This game has a sine wave difficulty curve.
Yeah.
Oh man, this is a joke. This is a joke. This is a joke. Oh, that has hands.
That is the realist.
Back to jokes. Back to humor. Back to humor. Oh, that has hands.
Yes. So there are people and things standing around on the map during Act 2 where you're like, I don't know if you're real or not. You know, like sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. But and then like there's times where like upon first glance you'll be like, oh, that's real as fuck, and then it'll be like, actually, if you think about it and strategize a little bit, it's manageable. And then there's other times where I'm like, okay, I've spent another however many hours and levels past the last time I took this challenge on.
Right.
Let me go back now that I'm so much buffer and see what. Yeah. Oh God, I'm wiped. Still got nothing. And like, you know, you're trying to gauge early challenges for when to come back to them later, and like you go back way later and still get rocked is such a wild feeling.
It's really interesting because it has one of those things that Elden Ring has and the Soul series has, where it's like there's multiple different kinds of player expression through character power. So one of the things that Expedition does really well is like, okay, old-fashioned style, listen, I don't know how to do this. This seems really tough. I'm just gonna hit the gym and my characters are gonna fucking get huge. And I'm going to dump points into them, and I'm going to just bump their stats and upgrade their weapons. And we're going to see how much of a difference that makes. And it can make a significant difference. There's also, hey, I'm going to really actually dive into the Picto system.
Yes.
And I'm going to like take my L, and I'm going to, like what I did as I build her around burn and just like throw 40 burn stacks a turn. Down,
see what's
and
going
like,
on.
I'm just gonna, and me figuring that out and just putting the dots together. Okay, now this encounter is trivialized. And then there's the third one, which is one that I found myself relying on for two of the roaming, you know, chromatics or whatever in Act 1, which is if I just never make a mistake once in the entire fight, it can't kill me. And I will eventually win.
Yes. There is
and that is really satisfying.
There is a very clear and the thing is, as far as mistakes go, it gets dirtier and dirtier and dirtier. And I'm like, now I'm seeing scum level sucking shit that is so like, ooh, that's evil, because you know that players can try again, and eventually whatever you're looking at, you will be able to memorize. So let's be as dirt as possible on it, right? There's I'm going through, like, there's an area that's a like fuck you area, right? Fuck you optional, eat shit zone, right? And everything in it is basically like a boss. Every encounter is like, oh, you're in it for a minute. And you start seeing things where, like, yes, defensively you can parry and avoid and dodge and jump and do all the things, right? But if you don't do the right thing in the right way and approach the fight like still tactically while being defensive, you're gonna sit here forever and not get anywhere done. It'll basically be a stalemate.
Yeah, the enemy numbers can be extraordinary.
So it's not even so there's things like that.
I mean, like just HP, like the amount of damage.
Yes, the amount of damage
they can take is
but
extraordinary.
But there's other things we're getting into. So we're getting into things where the team the enemies you're fighting will start healing each other at a rate that your DPS is not outracing.
Right. Okay.
Right? We're talking about mechanics where the affinity of the enemy you're fighting will switch to something that, oh, your Mael loves fire? Cool. Heal me with your fire then. Switch it up. What else you got? And like, you have to basically be like, oh, fuck, if I do a parry right now with Mael,
I'll heal them.
I'll heal them a lot because I'm doing a ton of damage. And that's bad. Right? So you can't just be like autopiloting it. You actually have to approach it in the right way and strategically. And this is where messing around with your builds and experimenting like pays off heavy dividends, right? What's cool too is the encouragement to experiment, because you get so many respec points.
Recoats.
Yeah, recoats, you know. And I've been sparing on them, and I'm glad I did. I'm like, let me just save these up. I don't know, but I don't need them for now. And I've been going through it and getting this really, really cool feeling of like, okay, every once in a while when I choose to dive in deep into the Picto system, I'll do it with a character to create a build because I see a particular advantage that's really worth building around, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, like Lune, I'll see a weapon where it's like, hey, every time you cast a free shot with her, you build a stain, a random stain, right? Okay, cool. How can we build around this idea? Well, she's now somebody who's going to use her AP to fire 4 bullets every turn, right?
And then cash them out.
So knowing that she's going to be firing every turn, let's gear all her Pictos towards the shooting based.
Arcing one, the burning one.
Right? And then suddenly you're like, I've got a character that's more concerned about taking shots and getting and building that up and doing, you know, and then supporting the team while taking those shots. And like the AP reward on everything you're shooting is then trickling into like, you're setting up a mark for the next person. And so that's really fun, you know? And the feeling I've gotten a couple times now has been like, oh shit, I just picked up a new weapon that's worth swerving my entire playstyle around. Right?
Yeah, I got Mael's fucking purple katana.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh my god, this changes her whole character into an even more busted character.
Time to switch it up, right? And then so you start working heavily through like rearranging your Pictos to become all about like, I'm starting in Virtuos, let's go hard, right? And then you get like that, like I did that. I picked up a sword that was like really good on base attack damage, right? And I was like, oh, that's sick. Let's work around the idea of making base attacks as good as possible. And then I started seeing some busted numbers popping out with that. You know, there's there's like a Picto that is like your base attack swings twice, for example, which is like, ooh, okay, what can we do there? Getting the ability to play again and just, you know, like forcing your character to get more turns in before anyone else can act, you know, starting first and so on. And then I picked up like after crushing it really hard with that, like not even barely a couple steps later, I picked up a weapon that was like like when you do crits, amazing things happen using this sword.
Right.
And then it also scales with luck.
Yeah, all right.
So I'm like, time to throw all of my build out. Like, not just go back and redo the Pictos, redo your entire character's points, heavy into crit, right? And then redo your skills and consider going in a completely different direction built around critting. And so now I have a character swinging for 92% chance at crit per swing.
I was
right.
I was able to figure out a way to get CL. So CL has an ability that doesn't cash out her resources if it crits, and it's a multi-hit.
Interesting.
And I was able to push some numbers around to get her to 100% crit.
Okay.
So I could just cash the thing out.
Yeah.
Infinitely over and over and over.
So that's it, right? I look at it and I go, let's put on the Pictos that'll push my crit even further, and then shove a bunch of points into it. Now I'm swinging it. Yeah, you're basically every single swing is a crit. All the good things that you get, all the good bonuses happen, double damage, etc., etc. And then on top of that, what was the other thing? You, God damn it. I got lost in the anyway. The that just becomes like the main way to play. Oh yeah, that's what it is. I see an ability on the skill tree that is like, if you land a crit, you're going to add to your perfection points, right?
Okay.
So let's grab a multi-hitting, multi-critting move that you do one swing and you go perfection, 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 and you watch your style shoot through the roof and you're like, this is the fucking build. And it feels so good to just immediately be like, I can't choose which way to go. All these builds look and feel amazing.
I think it's probably the only JRPG style game I can ever think of in which there is like a legitimate case to be made for not even using your full party.
Yes.
Like genuinely, like, what if I just fed all of my resources to myself forever?
So you can certainly decide to put as many Pictos on one person as you want
for like maybe 90 minutes with like just one character.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wanted to, so I got a character and they were underleveled compared to the rest of the cast. And I'm like, oh, I'll swap them in just by themselves to see, to catch them up a little bit. And was immediately rewarded with just the requirements and the resources I needed to make that work, which then worked really, 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 really fucking well.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty fun putting on all that solo stuff and seeing it just numbers go right.
So I will say the Picto system is totally overwhelming. It is the menus for it are terrible. The you can sort it.
Setting
right?
favorites is saving my life.
Okay, like once I discovered setting favorites, I had a big sigh of relief. I'm like, okay,
yes,
this is
manageable.
Something you need to be able to make sets.
Oh yeah, like yeah, for sure.
That is like maybe the singular big flaw of the game is that like I would like to be able to have this version of my L and this version of my L and this
locked
version of my
in
L
as a group. Yes.
Pop.
Also, the ability to be like, I want everyone on my party at minimum to have these. These are where we're starting here.
Yeah, I would like an equip all on parry damage up.
Right, or start with plus 1 AP.
It's going to be on everyone. It costs 3 points.
Yeah.
It's going to be on every single character ever.
Everyone is starting with plus 1 AP. Everyone is starting with 50% damage extra on the first swing. Just right across the board.
Yeah.
So that's all pretty huge. There's sorting into the smaller categories as well. But then admittedly, you're switching to as well from like a list of Pictoids to equip to like a second version where it's like now you're the skill. So that with the points
menu's
managing,
kind of a mess. It's kind of a mess.
It does, yeah. It does get
especially
confusing.
considering how deep you have to go into it and how much time you spend in it. It could have been a little clearer.
So when you're talking about the solo stuff with your characters and how good you can do though. So you have so you have the party that you're playing with. Have you messed around with what happens when you wipe out and you've got people in reserve?
Yeah. Hey, you want to send them in? Yeah, okay.
The last stand system, right?
Yeah.
And now we can start talking about you want to build up someone to be solo? Okay, but you don't have to send them out first. In fact, send out the people you want to use, and if you've got somebody in the back who's going to come in on the last stand, and it literally says the Expedition 33 their final stand, and all of their solo shit just goes bop, 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 bop.
Yeah,
and
I had I had the girls out and I put all that solo shit on Gustav. And I'm like, Gustav, I love you, but if you're coming out, it's dire. So here's every solo buff you could possibly have.
And then,
and then it worked out a little bit.
Yeah.
This worked out quite well.
You fight a boss or a challenger in area, and then like you're like, damn, I took it down most of the way and I learned the defense, but I slipped up on something. And then you come back in.
Now time to just clutch it out.
Right. And it feels really good to have one person come back in. And and you get the XP reward for it as well. And obviously dead characters make less XP, bench characters make less XP, but it's not a like all or nothing situation where you feel like, God damn it, I almost want to restart and not beat it with that person.
Yeah.
Right. The reward
So
you get for benched and dead is still worth it.
What's interesting is that, like, you know, I tend to obsess over everybody equalizing. You know, I think that the XP gradient they have in this game is the second best XP gradient I have ever seen, in that characters catch up quite reasonably. Each level is like more than twice as much as the one before it, so you just they really just equalize to some degree fairly naturally. I think the only game I can think of that has a better experience curve is Lost Odyssey, because Lost Odyssey has a overtly fake experience curve in which each major dungeon area gives like 10 times as much XP as the last one. I remember every dungeon in Lost Odyssey, I would hit like the magic level that they wanted me to fight the boss at, and I would go from getting half a level of fight to 1/100th level per fight.
Right. Okay.
And I would be like, oh, okay, I see here.
You're hitting
what you actually want.
You're hitting XP tax brackets where it's exponential. Yeah. The and you know, shout outs to the point system in Metaphor as well, where you can, you know, max out a character and then use their points to go spend on whatever you want on other people, other characters, archetypes. So something that's really fun here too as well is the I'm going through, so what you're talking about, I'm really feeling it, because I'm going through this area where like all the enemies are giving tons of XP and I'm leveling up super fast, and I'm seeing how quickly the ones on the back are getting left behind, and it really is like they're not trailing too badly, you know. And if and I had a point,
swap them in.
Yeah, so I had a point where like I had a good stretch of fights that like kept like like almost like a 5-level gap between my highest and lowest character, and then the boss fight worked out so that the benched character stepped in instead and took the kill and evened it out, you know.
Right.
So that feels really good.
I'm having I had so this is one of those things that only affects like a very specific personality type, and it's a personality type like mine. But this game handles it extremely well, where it's like, okay, you get like colors of Lumina, which are like give your characters like an extra skill point to use, right? Which is really powerful. And then I'm like, well, what if I don't end up liking this character? What if I don't like Lune and I put like 40 points into her, and now that those points are gone because I can't pull them out, right? Does that mean I'll be behind? Well, I got a 4th party member and had enough fucking spare color of Lumina to bring them right up to alongside the rest of the cast in like 10 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Like they were like 2 Lumina behind. It was like 39, 40, 40, and like 35.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Right? And I was like, oh, that's great. But then I'm like, well, what if this, you know, system compounds? What if I get, you know, there's probably like 6 or 7 party members, blah, 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 you know? And so I asked friend of the show, Gene. It's like, okay, so, you know, what's the cap on these? Right. And his answer was like, I don't know. My highest capped character was like fucking 370.
Oh, Jesus.
And I'm like, oh,
wow.
It doesn't stop at 99?
It doesn't stop, huh? Okay.
Oh, well then fuck it.
So, well, here's one thing I saw, right? So, got a party member moving through, and new party member of course comes in a little bit shy compared to the others, and I'm looking at their like number of picto points or so, and it was like everyone was in their like 40s or 50s or so, and this person was at like 25, and I was like,
you're like, oh, that's their way behind,
right? Go back, do some cleanup, and finish off a side quest. The reward for that side quest is 40 points.
Got it. Great. Done. Excellent.
So the game has ways that are intended for you to make your team catch up and hit parity, for sure.
An excellent progression curve. Old, you know, with the weapon upgrades, like old resources become trivially free. New resources become more and more common.
And there's a good reason to like go back and do those things with new party members that you didn't have anyway. You see shops around the map that are like, hey, unlock an expeditioner to come back here and get the cosmetic I'm going to sell you.
New stuff.
You know?
Having so many of the items be like cosmetics is super exciting.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Super exciting.
Like I do a really hard challenge, and then the reward is not like a big sword or piece of armor. It's a fucking shirt, and I was like, yes.
I remember I got to. This is a minor spoiler for a type of side content in the game that in Act 1 I got to a beach, and I saw that the beach was not a combat challenge. It was a platforming challenge.
That's I was telling you about the water.
It is a platforming challenge that is fairly extreme. I think it is like way past what you would expect the game to want from you, especially considering the game is kind of slippery and doesn't have a very good jump
for the engine it's built in. This is what I was talking about when I said it's asking you to platform. What you're talking about. And you're like, guys, this is not what the game is made to do.
And the music sounds like Fall Guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure those are going to get harder. That first one did not take me long. And I was overwhelmed by like the obvious inspiration that it took from both Fall Guys and FF14. That is a Final Fantasy 14 style jumping puzzle. The summer event every year has a beach platforming puzzle that looks like that fucking thing.
Okay.
And
I just said Fall Guys when I saw it. Yeah.
The types of like the jumping isn't super good, so you have to learn this dumb shit to deal with it, is more or less the same. So I was so fucking ready to fucking do it, and the reward is like an ugly swimsuit, and I'm like, fuck yeah, ugly swimsuit. That was so worth it. That was so worth it.
Early 1900s, you know, bather's beach suit.
And Gustav's like fucking massive package bulging out. Like, good for you, buddy.
Oh, I got one for Lune.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to be perfect, it might just be the way it's modeled or so, but like the same almost applies. There is a very distinct mons pubis that is visible. But anyway, the one of the challenges in one of the fuck you hard areas is coming at you with like, become a parry god right now, right? And like sit here and just like fucking do it.
I'm going to do it. Don't worry, I got it.
And you do it, and then it's like, you fucking crushed it. Here's a dress.
Yeah, this is my parry dress.
And it's such a cool dress. I love it, you know? I'm so excited by that. Little bits of I guess future advice from the future, from the year 2000. If you there's some characters, or there's some challenges that are around the world that you walk into and you're like, oh, okay, all right, I'll be back, you know?
Goodbye.
Sometimes it'll be like, it's within grasp, but like maybe there's stuff that you can miss because something that you someone that you will meet later effectively is a blue mage. And if you want to get blue mage abilities, you have to fight the things that give you those things. And if you kill those things before someone is available, then you're going to miss out on that opportunity. So consider that.
But at the same time, if you are able to kill those things, that means you're cruising.
You are. And so, you know, I don't know about the completionist sake, feeling. I don't know if there's necessarily perhaps a way.
We're getting nays in chat here.
So I'm going to maybe there's a way in the future to deal with that, I guess, perhaps people that might know. Okay, I'm seeing a bunch of nays, so maybe there's a way that you can collect things that you've missed or so. So, all right.
I hear braying and whining from the animals in the pen.
But the initial thing I kind of was like, oh shit, I got something here that I saw, and I was like, ooh, I'm glad I waited for that challenge.
I'm sure there's no way to lock that up. Wait a second. Are you saying there's a character that's like a blue mage in this not Final Fantasy game?
Yeah, there you go. So
I'm gonna be blunt. It has been a long time since I played a game that I was so consistently impressed by its universal excellence in every single aspect of its presentation, design, visuals, sound, etc. And I ran into Ben Starr.
Yep.
And I don't believe the interview that I saw where they're like, Clive was written after this character. I don't believe you.
Yeah. I mean,
that is a lie.
At the same time, like, I kind of, you have to wonder, like, is this just Ben Starr now? Is this just Ben Starr being Ben Starr? Could it be?
Well, the Ben Starr voice is like 10 different characters in this game.
But Clive is Clive, and then, like, are we going to just be
Clive?
Are we Cliving it up forever now? Because I'm down for more time with Clive.
And I'm taken away by like a controversial opinion, and like, you could have just put the name Final Fantasy on this game.
Don't sully Claire Obscure.
No, that's not sullying. That's like that is like the goal. These people wanted to make a goddamn Final Fantasy game, and they made one of the best ones. That's crazy.
It's amazing.
It's their first game. They're amateurs.
What's interesting is as well the fact that it's like so RPG turn based, but it's the part that I guess is like asking you to react defensively. You know, I'm like there's up to a certain point in the Final Fantasy timeline, I'd be like, I wonder how much you'd want to lean into that. But now that we've had a fucking Devil May Cry Final Fantasy game, it's like, oh yeah, no, you can do that. That's not a problem. But also, I say Lost Odyssey because Lost Odyssey is also JRPG as fuck.
Lost Odyssey is not quite Final Fantasy, not really, but it is kind of maybe.
But like in that it's very straightforward with its JRPG-ness, and then it's putting some cool QTEs on top of that, and the art style is carrying it and doing amazing things. With that though, so two things about this game that one, there is one unique issue that I'm experiencing here. And are you playing on PC?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I am having a very peculiar thing where every once in a while, and it might just be a setting, it might be a video thing or so.
That's the fucking keyboard shit?
No, not the keyboard shit, because the mouse is popping up, and that's kind of annoying, but that's not it. I've
seen everyone talk about that.
Little frame skips.
Yeah.
And I don't think they would ever matter except for when you're frame skipping me in the middle of a parry sequence.
Yeah, so I've turned that shit down so that I'm crushing 100 frames in all scenarios. Like, it is a gorgeous game. It is an absolutely immaculate, beautiful game, and I would love to play it at the highest, most picturesque painted settings possible. But like, I was running around at 80 frames, and then I was fighting a boss, and it dropped to like 45, and that caused me to like have like a judder. Yeah. And I'm like, no, you cannot have this.
Can't do that. Can't do it.
You may not have this.
And I'm playing, my way of playing this game, as you can imagine, is on the razor's edge, where I'm like, I will defend, or I'm feast or famining through the game in a lot of ways. Yeah. And so
you're playing heaven or hell.
Yes. And with that in mind, I'm like, if I fucking parry all 5 hits of this sequence, and then like the 6th one goes, and then I take the hit and die, that sucks because that fight took a while, you know? So,
well, I don't think the game, I think you're still probably better off. I don't think the game runs at 60 on anything else. I'm not certain. I'd have to check. Hold on, let's just find out. Let's just type it into an internet.
I need to go play with my settings because I haven't really done so. And you know, now that the parry challenging is getting really, really fucking scummy, like there are characters who are doing startup to their animation that looks identical, but like one of multiple things might happen, you know? So like if you start getting into the rhythm of like, oh, I know what your move list is, or you start getting into the rhythm of I'm just doing this musically, no, you can't, because sometimes it's going to force
30
you
30 FPS on the consoles.
Okay. It will force you to make sure you are reacting to what's coming at you. And like, yeah, I've had a couple hiccups that like stole hits from me.
Performance, okay, 30 FPS on the weaker consoles, and then performance mode on the good ones is 60.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take the hit for consistency because timing matters. This is a game, you know, like
big matters.
If you have to do parries, if you have to do fucking QTEs that are like really, some QTEs are really like last minute placed, you know, the timing on them is very sharp. So yeah, same thing. You got to make sure that performance is rock solid. And with that now brings me to a strange conundrum I've been having. This game is excellent by all accounts, and it's one of those things where when I hit a game that's super solid, I always kind of go over to Punch Mom and I'm like, hey, here's one you might want to hit. Might want to check.
I've been doing the same with Paige. I'm just like, oh, it's so universally excellent. It's so unbelievable.
So just so much good stuff here for you. Now, the problem is that for her preferences are such that, like, if she can put it on easy or put it on something where the execution isn't as necessary, if it's mainly about decision making, she can enjoy herself, right? But anytime the reactions and stuff get too demanding, it becomes an issue, you know? And so now I'm kind of trying to figure out, like, I don't know what the game looks like on easy.
See if that works. See if just pumping VIT works.
I was going to say, I don't know what the game looks like on easy, but I'm curious. I'm like, if you have enough defense, can you play this like a traditional RPG?
I bet you totally can.
Where you just take hits and deal hits, you know?
I bet you totally can.
Because that would be one answer.
Be fast. Battles would take longer, I assume.
Yeah, for sure.
But I bet you totally can.
Okay.
People in the chat are saying yeah.
Yes. Okay. Because that's
awesome.
If you can play,
that's great.
If you can play it where it's just like, all right, we've removed this timing element from it necessarily, unless every once in a while you want to try it, but for the most part, you know, then that's great. There are fuck you, avoid this or die like
there are
scenarios. But I do find the optional challenges to be like much more demanding than like the mandatory ones, you know? Okay, so yeah, I need to look up to see what a version of this game looks like or so, where yeah, she could go through it and not necessarily worry about that stuff, because there's so much good otherwise, and I'm just like at one point, like, she walked in while I was like hitting one of these like insane tactical, like, you know, making affinity changing enemies and parrying like a sequence of 5 things, and she was like, oh Jesus, is this what you were recommending? And I'm like, but I'm doing that to myself though. You know?
Yeah, no, I'm my reach may be exceeding my grasp right here.
So
like, one of the things that really stood out to me is that, you know, I'm streaming it and I was fighting a chromatic, and I was fighting the chromatic for a while because they can take a lot. They have a lot of health. And the woof noise for parry timing is quite excellent. It's really quite useful. But also, once you learn the parry timing, I ran into the situation where like a chromatic would start an attack, and I would just turn my head to this other monitor.
Yeah, because you're reacting to the noise.
Tap. I'm like reading chat and I'm talking to people. It's like, once you have it, you have it
for those enemies.
For that guy. For that guy and that move.
I promise you, there are other enemies who are like, this is the startup, but what's coming? You have to react to the
come on,
you know?
Elden Ring Margie.
Yeah, it's not about the wind up. It's about at the beginning of the active frames, and you have to do 1 or 2 different timings depending on what's active, you know?
The timing parry for 33 is so interesting. They want you to parry while the move is inside your character.
It's not the window 100%. It's not the slider for like dodge timing and then
usually
parry in the middle.
It's like, I'm going to hold up my arm and then the attack will hit my arm in the parry animation. That counts as a parry.
Yes, if you were looking at a video timeline, you would take the active window and put it right in front of your character, and then everything before that is like, you know, loose fail state, right? And here, it's like the parry window goes after you on the timeline. So, yeah, if the sword is really inside of you and you're a little bit late, like, you can still make it work because it wants it. Yeah, that's the best way to describe it.
It's like Coyote Time, but for parries.
Coyote Time.
Are you not familiar? So Celeste is the first game I played that has Coyote Time, in which you're going to go to a jump, and then the jump, you will not fall until your character is like one full character off the platform.
Oh, Donkey Kong Country.
And you will jump off of nothing. It's like Wile E. Coyote suspended in air.
Oh, okay. Donkey Kong Country jumping.
It's a way to give you just a little bit of extra leeway on tricky jumps.
Yeah. So it's so weird to see in action where I'm like, I know I was late on that parry, but you still gave it to me. And it's I'm trying to think of like, I think sometimes in Souls, right, there's like there's attacks that come at you at such a speed where you're basically you're aiming to press the button on the impact, not before it, type of thing, you know?
Yeah.
And then so what you get here is this weird mixture, because there's stuff where there's things there's enemies coming at you and you're doing that timing we're describing, and then there's also stuff where it's like this is only ocular. There is no visual cue for you. You just have to hear it, type of thing. Or that's not true. The accessibility means that you can visually react to it, but it's not as obvious as a big arm going up or so, you know?
This game is so fucking awesome. And I got to some bits, like I finished Act 1. I got to some bits that were like, God, if you couldn't figure out it was French before, get ready for this fucking film grained 4x3 black and white audio distorted.
Oh yeah, flashbacks.
Sad operatic French lady in the background cutscene that I know won't make any sense until I have to watch the movie again.
Mm-hmm. I'm
like just so fucking French. Oh my God.
I am choosing to wear the baguette on my back, and I am choosing to play the vinyl of, you know, Lumière, and I'm listening to my beat.
Yeah, oh,
and I'm like, yes, I'm enjoying the Frenchness of everything happening right now.
It's so fucking, it's hilarious. It is, and like they know that French stuff is hilarious.
Leaning in,
like that you run into Esquier, and Esquier is French, and that's the joke. It's that he's French. That's it.
Yeah. No, you're looking around at these big gargantuan creatures that are completely inhuman, and one of them has a beret on, and you're like, yeah, okay, let's go talk to you. I bet you I know what you're about. You know, and like just like fucking cave of beasts, and of the beasts, one of them is just like, why, hello, you know.
I'm a big fan of the strongest ice attack ever. I don't know if you remember that.
What?
There's an enemy that attacks you with the strongest ice attack ever.
Okay.
That is the name of the attack.
Okay, I don't remember.
And I was like, how strong? Whoa! Oh man. Yeah. Like, just all right. That the text on these attack names are not lying.
It's something I've been waiting on too that I want to see a bit more of. Is there's been a couple, but they're definitely the one thing that needs to be dialed up heavily is more characters need to be exclaiming how much they could use some wine right now.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
Just like, you know, une bouteille, just how much they would want a verre, you know what I mean? Like, it would be so fantastic, because then there's once or twice where they're just like, oh man, I could use a bottle. You know,
yeah, man, absolutely.
That is truly the mark.
But yeah, Expedition 33 is like an easy standout for a Game of the Year contender. And more importantly, for this new studio, it is apparently on track to sell like millions and millions and millions.
Beautiful, wonderful.
Congratulations.
Also, we're going, you know, with our impressions, you know, so far. And like last week, I was talking about how the linear nature of this of the progression and stuff, and that kind of hallway, and then it opens up and stuff.
Yeah.
That motherfucker opens up proper big.
I believe I am at the point of the game where it's about to open up.
No. Proper big opens. Never mind. You know. Still like zones where you go in and it's just like big. It's still kind of like, oh, just go pick up a record over there. It's like a big area of just music to pick up, or so. So there's still some big empties, but shit still opens up quite a bit. So yes, I'm happy to continue pushing and shilling for this game because it is fantastic and deserves all the accolades.